Hey guys, I'm Nikki, and today I will be finishing up my two-part series on the science behind my protein shake. Now, many of you watching probably already have a daily protein shake that has much of the same ingredients, and you want to know, is this stuff really healthy for me, and if so, how? Or you may be considering taking a protein shake, but you're not sure what to put in it. Either way, this shake science video is here to help. Now, if you haven't seen the first video where I talk about antioxidants in berries or potassium in bananas or even the adaptogenic properties of maca, among other things, I've left a link in the description below, or you can click up here, I think, and watch it from there. So let's head back to the kitchen and talk about the rest of the ingredients. Okay, let's start with greens powders. So greens powders in general can be really great sources of vitamins and minerals. But what is the difference between a vitamin and a mineral? So vitamins are organic substances. They're made by plants or animals, and they are required by the human body. And they can't really be synthesized in sufficient amounts by the human body, so they have to be obtained from our diets. And so there are 13 essential vitamins that we have classified by their biological and their chemical activity. And each one of them has very specific roles in our bodies. Minerals, on the other hand, are inorganic elements. They come from soil and water, and they are absorbed by plants and eaten by animals. Ultimately, we get both from plants and animals. So, like I mentioned, there are 13 essential vitamins, and of those, 4 are fat-soluble, so vitamins A, D, E, and K. And then the other 9 are water soluble. So there are 8 B vitamins, and then there's vitamin C. And so the water soluble vitamins, as you might imagine, easily dissolve in water, and they are excreted from our bodies pretty quickly since they're generally not stored for a long time. On the other hand, fat soluble vitamins are absorbed by the intestine with fats, and they are more likely to be stored in the liver and fatty tissues. Fat-soluble vitamins can accumulate to toxic levels if you consume too much. So it's really important that you get enough of these fat-soluble vitamins while also not overdoing it. So some water-soluble vitamins are vital for cell growth and development. Folic acid, which you've probably heard of for pregnant women, is the name of vitamin B9 in supplement form. The natural form that occurs in our bodies is called folate, and it's used by our bodies for the synthesis, repair, and methylation of DNA. So when genes, which are just subunits of DNA that code for protein, when genes are methylated, meaning you're just adding a molecule called a methyl group to it, it can change the expression of that gene, thereby controlling the production of the protein coded for by that gene. So you can see, or you can understand how it would be of vital importance when you're, like making a baby in your body or something, to have enough folic acid or folate. It also acts as a cofactor in a lot of biological reactions. So like it partners up with other molecules to do stuff in the body. And then you've got vitamins B6 and B12. They are also water-soluble vitamins. Vitamin B12 is found in lots of animal foods. And vitamin B12 is a nutrient that helps keep the body's nerve and blood cells healthy and helps make DNA. People sometimes use vitamin B12 supplements as a way to increase their energy or endurance. But except in people with vitamin B deficiency, there's really no evidence that shows that vitamin B12 supplements actually increase energy or improve athletic performance. And then another water-soluble vitamin is vitamin B6. It's important in regulating mood because this vitamin is necessary for creating neurotransmitters that regulate emotions like serotonin and dopamine. Low levels of vitamin B6 in older adults have been linked to depression. But so far research hasn't really shown that B6 is effective as a treatment for mood disorders, so it's more of a correlation rather than a causality. So in this greens powder, there is a lot of vitamin C, which is again a water-soluble vitamin. And I know I talked about it a lot in my previous video, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in this video because it's so vitally important, and it actually ties into another thing that I will be talking about today, and that is collagen. So vitamin C deficiency, or scurvy as it's also known as, in this modern day is more associated with pirates and sailors during the latter part of the 15th century because access to like fresh fruits and citrus during long sea voyages was limited or actually even non-existent. So in this extreme case of vitamin C deficiency, it leads to weakness, anemia, gum disease, and skin problems. And this is because vitamin C not only helps the body absorb iron, which explains the symptoms of anemia, it's also needed for making collagen. And collagen is an important component in connective tissues, which are essential for like the structure and support in the body, including blood vessels. If your body does not produce enough collagen, tissues will start to break down. And again, I'll go into collagen a little more later because I do also use a collagen powder, but it is important to consume enough vitamin C so that you can make collagen to keep you feeling strong and your gums, skin, and connective tissues healthy. Interestingly, each organism has different vitamin requirements. So for example, humans need to get vitamin C from their diets, whereas dogs can produce all the vitamin C that they need. Okay, so now let's switch gears from the water-soluble vitamins to the fat-soluble vitamins. This greens powder has a lot of vitamin K, and vitamin K is the generic name for a whole family of compounds which have a common chemical structure. And so they function as coenzymes, meaning they partner with other enzymes, and they're required for things like blood clotting and bone metabolism. So for people taking blood thinners like warfarin or Coumadin, it's really important to get enough vitamin K so that your blood actually does clot, like in wounds, for instance. So vitamin K is pretty ubiquitous. It's found in lots of different foods like green leafy vegetables like kale, broccoli, lettuce, vegetable oils, some fruits such as blueberries and figs. Even meats, cheeses, eggs, and even soybeans have vitamin K. And so vitamin K deficiency is very rare. And then also bacteria in our colon, they actually make some vitamin K that the body can absorb. So this greens powder is also fortified with iodine, which is a mineral. It's found in some foods. It's added to some types of salt, and as is the case with this greens powder, it is available as a dietary supplement. So iodine is a vital component of two main thyroid hormones. And these hormones control the body's metabolism, and the body also needs thyroid hormones for proper bone and brain development during pregnancy and infancy. And so getting enough iodine is really, really important for everyone, especially infants and pregnant women. This greens powder also has a certain amount of probiotics. It has 1.67 billion colony-forming units, to be exact. There is a lot of research going on about the effectiveness of taking probiotics, but really the jury is still out on whether they are effective and safe for different health conditions. Probiotics may help prevent some common side effects of antibiotic treatment, since antibiotics wipe out both the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. Taking probiotics may help the body reestablish the population of good bacteria. Probiotics may also help to treat some gut disorders. For example, in necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a fatal gut disease in primarily preterm infants, preemies, probiotics may prevent the disorder by boosting the population of beneficial bacteria, which then may deter harmful ones from taking hold. So one thing to note is that bacterial strains are so genetically diverse. They're so different from one another that a promising study on a single strain of a particular species of bacteria shouldn't really be proof that all probiotics work equally well. So in this particular greens powder, like I said earlier, there are 1.67 billion colony forming units, and there are only 3 different species in this particular greens powder that may or may not need a boost in my particular gut. In the typical human gut, there are tens of trillions of bacteria making up between 300 and 500 different bacterial species. Adding 3 more species at 1.67 billion colony forming units is just a drop in the bucket when you're looking at a healthy gut. So there's no one-size-fits-all probiotic, and really there's probably a need for personalized probiotics. So for healthy people, there may not be any benefits to taking probiotics. So this greens powder has a lot of vitamins and minerals from vegetables and fruit. But does this mean that I can completely forego vegetables? Absolutely not. And this is because the nutrients in whole foods have a combined and complementary effect. So for example, lycopene, which is a powerful antioxidant found in tomatoes, in the context of a tomato, is more beneficial than lycopene from a supplement because there are components within that tomato that can complement and boost the body's ability to effectively absorb and use their nutrients. And so consider this greens powder just another multivitamin of sorts. Okay, up next, royal jelly. So royal jelly is kind of a milky secretion, and it's produced by the worker honeybees. And it's got water, it has proteins, it has sugars and fats, it's got vitamins and salts and amino acids. It kind of has all the things. But its composition sort of varies depending on geography and climate. And so this product gets its name from the fact that bees use it to nurture queen bees. So people use royal jelly for symptoms of menopause. They also use it for diabetes and PMS and obesity and many other conditions, but there is no good scientific evidence to support royal jelly for these uses. Also, people with pollen allergies may have allergic reactions to bee products, such as bee pollen, honey, royal jelly. There's something called propolis, which is a hive sealant. Bees use it to seal their hives. And so it may not be the best product for people. So I tried royal jelly, again, because my sister's nurse friend suggested it because she knew that I was, kind of wanting to get pregnant. And it was supposed to make my eggs healthy or something like that. And I honestly have no idea if it actually did anything in that regard, but what I do know is that it completely eliminated my seasonal allergies. Up until that point, my allergies were getting worse and worse each year. I was on Claritin and Zyrtec, and those made me dry and drowsy, and honestly didn't really like being dependent on these things anyway, plus they were not all that effective. But I started using royal jelly in my shake along with maca. I started to realize that my allergies were going away, and so I did a little bit of a test. I stopped using maca and then for a while to see if anything happened, and then I stopped using the royal jelly for a while to see what happened. And so when I stopped using the royal jelly, my allergies started to come back. And then also, if I go on vacation and I'm not able to make my shake, I'm not able to put this royal jelly in a shake, I start to get allergies again, especially during allergy season. And so because of that, I decided to get these Bee-Wise pills. They've got bee pollen, propolis, and royal jelly in them. And so when I'm not able to make my shake and I'm traveling or whatever, it's been a few days since I've been able to have my shake for whatever reason, I take these. And these also help keep the allergies away. So again, it's anecdotal. There's no scientific anything behind it. But what I would say is before you try this, again, speak to your doctor about it, talk to your doctor about it. There may be things in your health record that are relevant that your physician needs to know about. I just know for me, completely game changing. For you, definitely talk to a doctor about it and see if it's right for you. protein powder. So let's talk about proteins for a little bit. Proteins are just chains of amino acids, and this sequence of amino acids is directly coded for by our DNA. So for instance, we have genes, which are just segments of DNA that code for structural proteins like collagen. We have genes that code for enzymes, and enzymes are just proteins that do stuff in chemical reactions. In fact, genes are responsible for all of this, and genes code for proteins, and proteins are just strings of amino acids. And so there are 20 amino acids, 9 of which are essential, meaning humans aren't able to synthesize them in biologically significant amounts. And then there are 11 that are considered non-essential because we make enough of them in our bodies that we don't need to get them from food. And so the body uses amino acids to make proteins, which are the building blocks of like every cell, every tissue, every organ. Amino acids and proteins also play crucial roles in metabolism. And so this particular bag of protein powder uses 5 different types of protein. There are 3 types of whey, an egg albumin, and casein. And so they're listed in order of how fast they're digested. So the fastest digesting protein is whey protein hydrolysate or hydrolysate. And then the slowest digesting is micellar casein. So let's start with casein. It is a type of milk protein, and it's typically derived from the cheese making process. And it digests really slowly, like over several hours in fact. And so according to research published in 2013, casein is likely to be more satiating than the fast-acting proteins in the long term. And this could help you curb your total calorie consumption. It's usually marketed to bodybuilders, but it may have some advantages for weight loss or weight maintenance and maybe overall body composition. But to get the most out of casein, it of course needs to be used in conjunction with regular exercise and a healthy and well-balanced diet. So there are no shortcuts, guys. You can't supplement your way out of a healthy diet and exercise ever. All right, so the next protein is egg albumin, which is essentially egg whites. And so this particular brand of protein says that the egg albumin is high in naturally occurring BCAAs, and BCAAs just stands for branched chain amino acids. They're amino acids, they just have a slightly different molecular structure. They are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and they are essential amino acids. And so a study in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition concluded that the claim that consumption of dietary BCAAs stimulates muscle protein synthesis or produces an anabolic response in human subjects is unwarranted, and that a physiologically significant increase in the rate of muscle protein synthesis actually requires adequate availability of all amino acid precursors. So there doesn't seem to be anything special about branched chain amino acids aside from the fact that they are essential amino acids. So next up is the whey proteins. And so the first one is whey protein concentrate. Whey is also a byproduct of the cheese making process. Cheese manufacturers used to actually discard it in the past before they knew how nutritious it was. And so the whey is dried and then it's microfiltered to make it more concentrated. And so it varies, but the protein content of whey protein concentrate is up to 80%, and then the remaining 20% is a mixture of carbs and fats. And in this remaining 20%, especially in the fat, there are a lot of valuable nutrients. And so whey protein concentrate usually keeps more of its nutrients than whey protein isolate and whey protein hydrolysate or hydrolysate. All right, the next one up is called whey protein isolate, which is processed with more refining and more filtering. And this further isolates the protein from the carbs and the fats. And as a result, it has a higher protein ratio. There's about 90% protein to 10% carbs and fats. And it has little to no lactose, and it's almost entirely fat-free. And lastly, whey protein hydrolysate or whey protein hydrolysate. It is derivative of whey protein isolate. But the proteins here have been broken down into smaller pieces. And so if you break down the word hydrolysate, hydro is water and lyse is to break. And so these proteins have been broken down due to a reaction with water. And the intent is to sort of pre-digest these proteins so that they can be absorbed easier and faster compared to whey protein concentrate or isolate. But studies have indicated that for people with normal, gastrointestinal function, there's really no need to consume pre-digested protein in lieu of whole protein. So the more these whey protein products are processed, the more expensive they are. And so to balance the cost to protein quality, I think probably a good compromise would be the whey protein isolate, which has a lot of protein and it isn't as expensive as whey protein hydrolysate. And then it also has less fat and carbs than whey protein concentrate. Another thing to note is that if you're sensitive to lactose or you have issues with cow's milk allergies, you may opt for hydrolyzed whey or whey protein hydrolysate because it's less likely to cause allergic reactions because the lactose is also broken up into smaller pieces. All right, guys, this is the last one, collagen. Collagen is the most important protein produced by the human body. Let me say that again and better. Collagen is the most important protein produced by the human body. It is mainly formed by 3 main amino acids. And so let's take a step back actually and understand what proteins are. Again, proteins are just a string of amino acids and the sequence is coded for in our DNA. And that sequence of DNA directly affects the sequence of amino acids. And so collagen is a protein that actually forms a triple helix, kind of like a rope. And so you know how they often show DNA as a double helix? Well, collagen is a triple helix made of amino acids. And these 3 strands of amino acids interact with each other really tightly. And so it's a really, really strong protein, which makes sense that it is used for like scaffolding and structure in our body, and it holds our body together. A study in the journal Nutrients showed that collagen peptide supplementation could be an effective remedy to improve hydration, elasticity, wrinkling in the human skin, but it's not in the way that you might think. When you consume collagen, it doesn't pass through your digestive tract intact and then end up on your face or in your connective tissues or whatever. Like any other protein we consume, for instance, like the protein powder that I was just talking about, it gets broken down into its component amino acids. And so you might ask, what's really the difference then between the two? And the answer is that collagen is made up of mostly 3 amino acids: glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. Basically, when we take collagen powders, we're providing the body with the specific building blocks, the amino acids, to make collagen. These amino acids can, of course, be used to make other proteins, but the point is that we are providing more of these amino acids, more of these 3 amino acids, so that they can be incorporated during collagen synthesis. Collagen, which makes up about 75% of the dry weight of skin, gives us volume that keeps skin looking plump and keeps wrinkles away. And its high concentrations of proline and glycine actually help maintain your and repair your tendons and your bones and your joints. And so there are also differences in collagen between men and women. In general, women tend to have less collagen than men. So here's a not so fun fact. Women begin to lose about 1% of collagen per year in our mid-20s. And then we lose as much as 30% during the first 5 years of menopause. Now, as a woman quickly approaching her 50s, that sucks. As a protein source alone, Collagen is actually really, really good. It packs in more protein per calorie than other sources, and it contains less sodium and sugar. Collagen has also been shown to be a powerful wound healer, able to stop bleeding, recruit immune and skin cells, stimulate new blood vessel formation. There was a study of 89 long-term care residents with pressure ulcers, which found that those who took collagen supplements 3 times daily for 8 weeks saw that their wounds healed twice as fast. Dietary supplements can vary pretty widely in quality, and they're generally not regulated as strictly as drugs. So you may want to consider getting your collagen from a homemade stock using bones, chicken, fish, or beef. That'd probably be the safest way. You can also look for companies that get their bones and tissues from cage-free, free-range, and antibiotic-free sources. Now, I know that this is a lot of different things, and it can feel like a huge hassle to get all of these things together in one shake. And so what I do is I consolidate things. So I combine the maca and the flax and the chia seeds in appropriate proportions, and then I combine the greens and the acai powders, and then I put them into these easy access containers. And so in my case, I'm just using these empty collagen containers. You could even take this a step further, like a friend of mine does, and put all of the powders into serving size bags for the week. So you just have all your bags laid out, you know, put a scoop of protein in each, put a scoop of collagen in each, etc. And then just package them individually, and so you just, it's grab and go. In evaluating my shake and looking at all the ingredients therein, I'm really glad I did this. I found that a lot of the ingredients that I was using were really great. And then some of them just need a little bit of tweaking. For instance, I think I may actually forego using a greens powder because I think that I would rather get a lot of those vitamins and nutrients from like leafy greens, spinach, kale, things like that. So I may end up, you know, freezing some and just adding them in when I add the berries. And then the other thing is the protein powder. I think, you know, I could find, you know, maybe a more specific protein powder for me. Like maybe I'll get one that's just the whey protein isolate rather than all those other types of proteins that I may not need. I am, you know, super glad I did this, and you know, I'm glad I'm making these changes. I hope you learned something in this, and I hope that, you know, maybe you found new ingredients that you might want to try. And I really appreciate your time. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye. Okay. Creating neurotransmitters. And this is, where is the sentence going? Chains. Hello? Interesting. And so after having, some of them need to be, hey Debs, I'm recording. Can you maybe close your door? It's okay. It's so loud. So close.